Hey everyone, and in this video what I'm going to show you is how to simplify the script that we have already written that sends a statement to our LRS when you click on a button. So if we wanted to create another button down here and send a statement, what we would have to do is create basically a whole new function in order to fire that off, because we would need to customize all of this so it looks different from our other statement. So what we want to do instead is pass parameters from inside down here when our statement fires off into our variable statement that gets sent to our LRS. So what we're going to need to do is pick some of the things that we want to pass into our LRS. So I'm just going to show you kind of how I would edit this script so that we can pass the parameters. So one of the things that we would want to change in here is basically our verb. So we may use different verbs in here. So what I want to do is I'm just going to create a new file just to save all of this stuff so I remember what it is. And then I'm going to start working on this. So the first thing that we want to change here is our verb ID. So what we're going to do is we're going to write verb ID, and that's going to pass whatever we choose as our verb ID into here. So what I need to do is I need to write this in my function so that it fires off. So our parameter verb ID will go here. Now the second one that I want to put in here is what the actual verb is going to be. So we'll just call that verb. I'll put verb here. Then the next one that we want to put will be, let's see, let's do object ID. Grab this here. And then let's do the name. So we can call this, we'll just call this name. And then we'll call this one description. So let's see, did we miss anything? All right, cool. So we'll save this, and then we want to make sure that we add them all up here. So we've got verb ID, we've got verb, let's change that. We've got object, let's make sure they're all the same. Object ID and name, and then description. Would help if I could spell. All right. So we've got all those set up. Now, these are going to be placeholders for basically our statement that we're going to create. So down here, we need to be able to send this statement through here. So we need to fill it out within the onClick. So we're doing all of this inline JavaScript right now, but in a later tutorial, I'll show you how to move everything over to a separate document, just because that's more of best practice. So we want to send our statement, and it has to be correct the way that a statement is built. So I'm just going to pause this video for a minute just so I can make sure I do that correctly. Now in this final part of the video, we're going to fill out our statement for our button. So I'm going to come down here, and what I need to do is fill in what our first item here is that we're going to pass as a parameter. So we're looking for our verb ID. So what I'm going to do is see what we want our verb ID to be. So in here, we had used this one here, so I'm just going to go ahead and copy it. So we'll put that in there. And then as you go through this, you want to make sure you have a comma that separates anything that's listed here. So then the next one is our object, or actually our verb. So then we want to say it's interacted. Make sure that's correct. And then we want to have our ID, which is here. So let's see, object ID. And then we want our name. So what do we have as the name here? Let's see, button example. So I'm just going to copy that over. Oh, that is not right. Okay, there we go. And then we have our description as the final piece that we need to pass over. Now everything else that's listed up here is just going to pass over as is. The only stuff that we're passing over is what we need to customize for ourselves. So as you can see here, we have the example.com/xAPI interacted. Then we have our verb interacted. Then we have button example. Then we have button example xAPI button. All right, so that should send. So if we pull this up, let's pull it up in Google Chrome. And we can see if that works. So here we go. And I'm just getting my developer toolkit out and looking at the console so that I can see when it sends. And then back to our LRS to see if it sent. And there we go, it worked. So what this is going to allow you to do is easily add these parameters onto different buttons, so we don't have to write a lot of new code. So if I want to create another button, I can just add this on here, and then I'll change out all the information in here to be a little bit different. So if I change that to button 2, and then this, and then we change this to maybe something like, let's say, viewed, and then change this to viewed. Let's see what else is there. So that looks good, I think. So we can send statements on any kind of a DOM event. So we have this all within our inline, all of this JavaScript. So let's go ahead and refresh this. So now we have a second button, and we can see a few seconds ago we had the viewed one over here. And sorry again about the definition name caching. That's because I had something similar before. So you can see the viewed and interacted verbs are coming from in here. All right, so that's this tutorial for doing the JavaScript inline. So that allows us to go ahead and really easily add statements to any kind of DOM event. So that could be on click, it could be on like a video playing, it could be on basically anything that we want. And that means we don't have to keep rewriting all this whole function up here. It just passes our parameters from in here into here. So in the next video, I'm going to take this to kind of like the whole next level, which is I'm going to add all of this JavaScript into its own separate JavaScript file and attach it to the HTML. So that will allow us to work even more smoothly. And I'm going to take out the on clicks from on this button and just write it purely in the JavaScript itself, because that will be a lot better as well.